Right now, 12,000 miles above your head, a fleet of 31 steel monsters is screaming through the vacuum of space at nearly 9,000 miles per hour. They are far beyond the reach of our atmosphere, drifting in the silent, freezing void where no human can survive without a suit. They don't know who you are. They don't see your messages, your photos, or your search history. In fact, they have no idea you even exist. But every single nanosecond, they are whispering a simple, repetitive, and incredibly expensive secret to your phone. I am here. The time is exactly this. Have you ever wondered why? In the deepest forest, the middle of a dead zone desert, or even in the middle of the Pacific Ocean where there isn't a cell tower for thousands of miles, your GPS still knows you've taken a wrong turn. Most people believe a massive myth that your phone talks to satellites in a high-tech conversation, but the truth is much more insane. It's not a dialogue, it's a one-way act of cosmic eavesdropping. You are using a billion-dollar military weapon system every day for free, and it doesn't need a single byte of your data plan to work. Today, we're stripping back the layers of a Cold War relic that relies on Einstein's theory of relativity just to help you find a coffee shop. This is the story of the most important signal you've never seen, and why the internet is the least important part of the equation. To understand why your phone works in the middle of nowhere, we have to go back to a world of shadows, bunkers, and silent wars, the late 1950s. When the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first satellite, they weren't trying to help people navigate, they were trying to prove they could dominate space. But two American scientists at Johns Hopkins University, William Guyer and George Weifenbach, noticed something strange. As Sputnik passed overhead, the frequency of its radio beeps changed, getting higher as it approached and lower as it moved away. This is the Doppler effect, the same reason a police siren changes pitch as it drives past you. They realized that if they knew exactly where they were on Earth, they could track the satellite's orbit. But then came the billion-dollar aha moment. If you knew exactly where the satellite was, you could reverse the math to find out exactly where you were on Earth. The U.S. Navy immediately saw the potential. They had a terrifyingly complex problem: nuclear submarines. These subs were designed to hide under the polar ice caps, invisible to the enemy. But to be a credible deterrent, they needed to be able to guide a Polaris missile with surgical precision. You can't use landmarks in the middle of the ocean. You can't use stars when you're submerged. You need something that works everywhere, all the time. This led to Project Transit, the grandfather of GPS. It was a lighthouse in the stars. Think of a lighthouse in a storm. The ship doesn't talk to the lighthouse. It just sees its pulse and calculates where the rocks are. This was navigation born from the threat of nuclear winter, and it's the reason your phone has a secret connection to the void. Over the decades, this military experiment evolved. In the 1970s, the Department of Defense launched the first block-eye satellites, building a constellation that would eventually cover every inch of the planet. For years, the best version of this signal was reserved for the military. Civilians had access to a scrambled, less accurate version called selective availability. It wasn't until the year 2000, under an executive order by President Clinton, that the intentional scrambling was turned off, suddenly giving every person on Earth the ability to pinpoint their location with incredible precision. This decision single-handedly sparked the multi-billion-dollar industry of digital navigation and location-based services we use today. Here is the part that sounds like science fiction. Your phone is a passive radio receiver. It has a tiny GPS antenna and a specialized chip built into its hardware that is always, and I mean always, listening for one specific radio frequency from space. It's like having a radio that only picks up one station, the GPS station. And because it's just listening, it works in airplane mode, in the desert, and even if your SIM card has been deactivated for years. But why is this so hard to do? It comes down to time. Every GPS satellite is, at its heart, a flying clock. And not just any clock, an atomic clock. These devices use the vibrations of cesium or rubidium atoms to keep time. They are so accurate, they lose less than 1 second every 100,000 years. Why such insane precision? Because radio waves travel at the speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second. When your phone picks up a signal from one satellite, it reads two things: exactly where that satellite is in its orbit and exactly what time the message was sent. Your phone then looks at its own internal clock and calculates the delay. It's a simple formula, but one that happens at the speed of light. $distance equals speed, c dot time dollar. If your phone hears from one satellite, it knows it is somewhere on the surface of a giant sphere around that satellite. If it hears from two, that location narrows down to a circle where those two spheres intersect. Hear from a third, and you are at one of 2 points on Earth. One of those points is usually in space or deep underground, so your phone discards it. Knows des jest podvох. Your phone's internal clock is a cheap quartz oscillator. It's terrible compared to an atomic clock. If your phone is off by even 1/1,000,000th of a second, your calculated position would be off by 300 meters. This is why you need the fourth satellite. The fourth signal is used to solve the time equation, essentially synchronizing your phone's cheap clock with the multi-million-dollar master clocks in orbit. This process, called trilateration, happens in the background of your life thousands of times a day. It's a constant, silent rhythm of math that anchors you to the planet's surface with terrifying accuracy. If GPS works without the internet, why does your phone show that frustrating no internet connection grid when you're off the grid? This is the great GPS confusion. The satellites are like a cosmic voice shouting numbers. They only give you your coordinates, your latitude, longitude, and altitude. They do not give you the map. Satellites do not broadcast street names, traffic jams, or the opening hours of the local taco shop. That data is massive terabytes of information that live on servers in Silicon Valley. Your phone has to download those map tiles via your cellular data or Wi-Fi. Think of it this way. GPS is the compass. The internet is the paper map. A compass tells you where you are standing on a blank grid, but without a map, you don't know if there's a mountain or a road in front of you. This is why offline maps are a literal lifesaver. If you download your region ahead of time, your phone stores the paper map in its memory.
Then, even with your SIM card removed, the GPS chip continues to talk to the stars, and the blue dot moves perfectly across the screen. There's also a hidden trick your phone uses called AGPS, Assisted GPS. Finding 4 satellites from a cold start, meaning when the phone has been off for a while, can take up to 12 minutes. To stop you from throwing your phone at the windshield, your phone uses the internet to download a tiny file called an almanac. This file tells the phone exactly where the satellites are supposed to be right now. This allows your phone to lock on in 3 seconds instead of 3 minutes. But once it has that lock, the internet is dead weight. You are officially off-grid, but you are not lost. This system is so robust that it has become the invisible backbone of our modern world. It's not just for finding pizza, it's for synchronizing power grids, timing high-frequency stock trades, and managing global logistics. If the GPS signal were to go dark tomorrow, it wouldn't just be inconvenient. The global economy would grind to a halt within days. Here is the most mind-blowing fact about the device in your pocket. It is a time travel correction machine. If we didn't account for Albert Einstein's theories, your GPS would become useless in less than an hour. There are 2 types of time dilation happening to those satellites. First, there's special relativity. Because the satellites are moving so incredibly fast, about 14,000 kilometers per hour time for them actually slows down from our perspective. They lose about 7 microseconds every day because of their speed. But then there's general relativity. Einstein taught us that gravity warps space and time. Because the satellites are 20,000 kilometers away from the Earth's mass, gravity is much weaker up there. In weaker gravity, time actually speeds up. This causes the satellite clocks to gain about 45 microseconds a day. When you do the math, 45 minus 7, the clocks in space are running 38 microseconds faster than the clocks on Earth every single day. 38 microseconds sounds like the blink of an eye. But remember the speed of light. If engineers didn't purposefully slow down the satellite clocks before they ever left the ground, your GPS position would drift by 10 kilometers every single day. Within a week, your phone would think you were in a different time zone. Every time you use your phone to navigate to a friend's house, you are witnessing a real-time validation of the most complex physics ever discovered. You are literally using a time correction tool to avoid traffic. But it's not just about space and math. The signal has to survive a brutal journey. To get to your phone, that weak radio whisper has to pass through the ionosphere, a layer of the atmosphere filled with charged particles. This layer acts like a lens, bending and slowing down the signal. If it's a particularly active day for the sun, a solar storm can create bubbles in the atmosphere that scramble the timing. This is why modern GPS isn't just one system. Your phone is a multilingual listener. It doesn't just hear the American GPS satellites. It also listens to Russia's GLONASS, the European Union's Galileo, and China's BeiDou. By tracking 40 or 50 different voices from the void at once, your phone can cross-reference the signals, cancel out the atmospheric noise, and find you with an accuracy of just a few feet. It is a system maintained by the U.S. Space Force at a cost of over $1.1 billion every single year. They launch new satellites, monitor the atomic clocks from ground stations in Colorado and Hawaii, and ensure the signal is available to every human on Earth for free. Even in dense urban environments where skyscrapers block the horizon, your phone uses sensor fusion, combining GPS with your accelerometer and gyroscope to guess your path until the stars become visible again. This is what keeps your blue dot moving when you drive through a tunnel. The phone senses your speed and the turn of your tires, maintaining a predicted position. This level of redundancy is staggering. If half the satellites were destroyed tomorrow, the system would still find you, though it might take a few more seconds to calculate. We have become so dependent on this invisible heartbeat that we barely notice it until it fails. It drives our global economy, provides synchronization for power grids, and ensures the timing for financial markets is accurate to the nanosecond. In many ways, the satellites are the silent supervisors of the 21st century, watching over every transaction and every journey from their frozen perches in the dark. Despite its military roots, GPS has become a humanitarian miracle. It allows emergency services to find callers who don't know where they are. It tracks endangered wildlife through the vast wilderness of Africa, and it helps farmers plant crops with centimeter precision, reducing waste and increasing food security. It is a weapon of war that became the ultimate tool of peace and exploration. It works in the rain, it works in the snow, it works in the middle of a civil war, and it works when the world feels like it's falling apart. It is a testament to what humanity can achieve when we turn the instruments of destruction into the infrastructure of discovery. So, the next time you're in the middle of nowhere and your screen says no service, don't panic. Put your phone in airplane mode, save your battery, and just look up. Somewhere in the infinite blackness, $1 billion steel monster is whispering exactly where you are. All you have to do is listen.